Have you ever walked away from a conversation, maybe after buying something or donating to a cause, and you just get this weird feeling, like, wait, why did I just agree to that? Well, it happens to all of us, and it's usually because we've been influenced by these incredibly powerful psychological triggers that we don't even see coming. So today, we are diving deep into a classic book on this, Dr. Robert Cialdini's Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, to pull back the curtain on the secret science of why we say yes.
So to kick things off, I want to tell you a story that, honestly, it sounds completely backward. It all starts in a little Indian jewelry store out in Arizona.
So the store owner was at her wit's end. She had this beautiful case of turquoise jewelry that just would not sell. I mean, it was peak tourist season and nothing. She tried moving the display case, she had her staff really push it, nada. So finally, right before she leaves for a business trip, she just gives up. She scribbles this quick note to her head saleswoman, telling her to just cut the price of everything in the case by half. She just wanted to get rid of the stuff.
Okay, but here is where the story takes a turn you would never expect. The employee couldn't really read the messy handwriting, and she thought the ×1/2 symbol was a ×2. So instead of cutting the prices in half, she doubled them. And what happened? The entire case sold out in just a few days.
I mean, how does that even work, right? How on earth could jacking up the price suddenly make something fly off the shelves? Well, the answer reveals this fundamental shortcut our brains take all day, every day. And a lot of the time, we don't even realize it's happening. To really get what happened with that jewelry, we have to talk about how our brains love to run on autopilot. Cialdini has this great name for it. He calls it the click-whir response. Okay, so check this out. It turns out this kind of automatic behavior is everywhere. In the animal kingdom, for example, scientists found that a mother turkey will nurture anything that makes a cheep, cheep sound. That's the trigger. She'll even mother a stuffed replica of her natural enemy if it just makes that sound. Now, look at the humans. For the tourists buying that jewelry, the trigger wasn't a sound, it was the price. They were running on a mental shortcut, a stereotype they learned their whole lives: expensive equals good. They didn't know anything about turquoise, so they used the price tag as the only indicator of quality.
And that's the click-whir in a nutshell. The high price tag was the click. It triggered a pre-programmed tape in their brains. And the whir was the tape playing out, the automatic action of buying what they assumed was high-quality jewelry. It's a simple, effective, and, in this case, completely wrong shortcut.
And look, let's be totally clear. We need these shortcuts. If we had to stop and rationally analyze every single piece of information and every decision we make all day, our brains would just shut down. These rules of thumb let us function. But, and this is the whole point of the book, they also leave a back door wide open for anyone who knows how to push the right buttons.
So what Cialdini did after years and years of incredible research was pinpoint the 6 universal principles that trigger these automatic yes responses in us. He calls them the weapons of influence, and that's not an exaggeration because they can direct our behavior so powerfully and so subtly.
Okay, so here they are, the 6 big ones. You've got reciprocity. That's the need to return a favor. Then there's commitment and consistency, our powerful drive to stick with a decision we've made. Social proof. That's basically everyone else is doing it, so I should too. Liking. Pretty simple. We're way more likely to say yes to people we know and like. Authority. We tend to blindly obey experts and authority figures. And finally, scarcity. The idea that if something is rare or limited, it must be more valuable. These are the secret switches.
All right, so let's look at a few of these in action, because when you see how they play out in the real world, it's kind of mind-blowing. First up, reciprocity. This is one of the most powerful social rules we have. If someone gives you something, even something small that you didn't ask for, you feel this almost overwhelming sense of obligation to give something back in return.
You ever wonder why stores give out free samples? It's not just so you can try the product. When you accept that little piece of cheese or that small cup of coffee, you've taken a gift, and that creates this tiny, unconscious feeling of debt. Now it feels really awkward to just take the sample, smile, and walk away without buying anything. That's the reciprocity rule working on you.
All right, next up is social proof. This is basically our brain's way of dealing with uncertainty. When we don't know what to do, we just look around to see what everyone else is doing and assume that's the correct way to behave. It's the monkey see, monkey do instinct.
This experiment is just wild. Researchers set up a fake theft on a crowded beach. In the first scenario, a thief comes and snags a radio. Only 20% of the people nearby did anything. Why so low? Social proof. Nobody else was freaking out, so everyone just assumed it wasn't a real emergency.
But then they ran it again with one tiny change. This time, the radio owner first turned to the person next to them and simply asked, "Hey, will you watch my things for a minute?" Now, when the thief showed up, a whopping 95% of people intervened. That tiny little yes activated the commitment and consistency principle. They'd made a small public commitment, and now they felt compelled to act in line with it.
And the last one we'll look at today is scarcity. This one is everywhere. Our brains are hardwired with this simple rule. If it's rare or hard to get, it must be more valuable. Opportunities just feel more precious to us when we think they're about to disappear.
I mean, this is the entire engine behind every limited time offer or only 3 left in stock warning you've ever seen. These phrases are designed to trigger our fear of missing out, that classic FOMO. It creates this sense of urgency that can completely bypass our rational thought process and push us to just hit buy now before we lose the chance forever.
Okay, so after hearing all of that, you might be thinking, great, so we're all just mindless robots waiting to be programmed? Well, no, not at all. The secret isn't trying to fight against your brain's basic wiring. The secret is learning how to spot when these triggers are being used on you and then interrupting that automatic process.
So the big question is, if this stuff is so automatic, so deeply ingrained in us, how in the world are we supposed to defend ourselves against it?
Well, Cialdini gives us a really simple defense toolkit. It's just 3 steps. First, awareness. Just knowing that these 6 weapons of influence exist is half the battle. When you feel that sudden gut pull to say yes, just ask yourself, wait, is this reciprocity? Is this scarcity? Second, pause. Just take a breath. That tiny moment is often enough to break the spell of that automatic click, whir response and let your thinking brain get back online. And finally, separate. Try to separate the person or the tactic from the actual offer. Are you buying this product because it's a great deal? Or because the salesperson is just super charming and you like them? Judge the thing on its own merits.
You know, our mental shortcuts, these click, whir responses, they're not bad. They're actually essential for us to function in a complex world. But we have to stay vigilant. So the next time you feel that powerful automatic pull to say yes, just take a half second to pause and ask yourself a very simple question. Who really benefits when I don't think?